for Monday, June the 11th. Could I please have the roll call?
Councilmember Abdelgawad.
Here.
Councilmember Barber.
Present.
Councilmember Berenson.
Present.
Councilmember Burke.
Present.
Councilmember Serko.
Present.
Councilmember Holman.
Present.
Councilmember Kellogg.
Present.
Councilmember Townsend.
Present.
Mayor Turnbow.
Present. Could you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
While Mr. Fearborn is passing out the State of the City address for you this evening to the City Council members, just wanted to remind you that I am a month late. I apologize for that. Last month we had a lot on our agenda plates, and while the charter calls for that to occur in the month of May, I apologize that we're a little bit late on that, but hopefully you'll enjoy what comments I have for this evening, and as the audience will as well, and I apologize to the audience from having my back to you, but I will address the City Council at this time. So as a city, we mark our growth in measurable milestones, like how many people live in our community, or how many homes are built in a year, or how many parks we invest in. This past year, our city took a big leap forward as we crossed the 20,000 mark in population. Our growth shows few signs of slowing down, but as a city, we must continue to work diligently to ensure that the same community charm and neighborly feeling that drew us here continues into the future, no matter how many people decide to make Raymore their home. There are a number of projects and programs I want to highlight tonight that I think will help us keep Raymore on the right track and invite even more to our hometown. Although we do not have a traditional downtown, it is not the buildings that make a downtown or the heart of a city. It is the people who live and work there. It is going to make more than just a new development to bring that downtown feel to Raymore. It's going to take creative ideas from our elected body, hard work from our staff, and the leadership of our business community to get it done. When we built Centerview, we knew it was going to be a popular amenity, drawing people from all over the region to events here in the heart of Raymore. But Centerview was just the first step. When we built Dave's Bike Shop, a new business on the Circle, invited the community to a fun, family-friendly event to introduce Dave and Tabitha's business to Raymore, attendees could see this was more than just a grand opening ceremony. It was a glimpse into what could exist here on the Circle. We saw families enjoying music and food trucks and a bicycle rodeo, all while connecting with one another and forging the kind of community relationships that make Raymore amazing. In addition to that event, and in honor of Law Enforcement Week, Jane Redmond with Edward Jones, another great business on the Circle here, hosted a recognition breakfast at Centerview on May 8th for first responders throughout the area. So as our economic development team continues to work, I know we as elected leaders can continue to encourage our local businesses to help us mold our downtown identity and encourage the kinds of efforts and programs as we saw with Dave's Bike Shop and Edward Jones. But our businesses can only take the ball and run so far on their own. It is up to every one of us in this room to lay the proper foundation and welcome the kinds of businesses that will bring additional jobs, retail, and entertainment opportunities to Raymore. We continue to see incredible things on the horizon when it comes to development at North Cass Parkway and along Interstate 49. Just about every department at City Hall has been tapped to help attract not just any development, but the right development for this important area. We also continue to examine how we can improve those developments that already exist in our community and how we could better serve those businesses that choose to call Raymore home. However, even with all this exciting news about development, I can share that several of our next major developments will bring people to Raymore from all over the region and will actually be located in our parks. Starting later this summer, the Parks and Recreation Department and the nonprofit group Unlimited Play will begin a major campaign seeking community support for one of the first ever all-inclusive playgrounds located at Hawk Ridge Park. This playground will be a one-of-a-kind space that offers interactive play for all children. There is also a handful of these all-inclusive playgrounds in the state of Missouri, and ours will be the first in the South Kansas City region. Also expected to draw large crowds from around the region will be our future amphitheater at Hawk Ridge Park. If the popularity of Summer Scene and other Arts Commission-sponsored performance events is any indication, this will become a premier performance venue for our community to share in. As I said before, Centerview was an important piece in helping create a new gathering place for our community at Municipal Circle. Its success only continues to grow as it is host to numerous meetings, training seminars, and events. Just last month, the facility was booked nearly solid with weddings, graduation parties, and baby showers for folks from all over our region. Construction at the Recreational Activity Center in Recreation Park is well underway, and it too, like Centerview, is expected to be a big hit the second it is open for business this summer. All of these services are not done in a vacuum. They are done to meet the growing needs of our growing population. In 2017 alone, the Community Development Department issued more than 280 new single-family and multifamily home permits. In 2018, we have already issued more than, and this is an update from what is written, we're at 109 now as of today. As of last month when I was writing this, it was 75. So the tremendous growth in future economic development projects means we could possibly pay off the bonds for our 2016 voter-approved projects and once again ask our residents what needs they envision for our growing community. Our residents put a lot of trust in us to manage these projects in a fiscally responsible way. They showed that trust when they overwhelmingly voted to approve the streets and parks projects. It is an incredible credit to staff and Mr. Feuerborn that we can see that that trust is well placed and that we are ready to begin another round of projects for our residents. But outside of the exciting new projects, on the horizon we must also give a tremendous amount of credit to our Public Works Department. I am constantly amazed at the level of professionalism and skill I witness on a daily basis from this group. They maintain hundreds of miles of roads, sidewalks, curbs, and utilities. They are the first on the roads when a winter storm hits our community and the last to leave when a water line breaks. Whether you realize it or not, their work serves as the foundation from which every other project can succeed. Another reason we see so many new residents calling Raymore home is because we continue to foster that small town feel. In my opinion, that feeling is due in a large part to the incredible men and women in our police department. They truly are second to none in the region, and our residents agree as they continue to tell us in community surveys that they feel safe no matter where they are in our city. While most departments may rest on these results, our chief and command staff continue to push the envelope with new education and crisis intervention initiatives that ensure our officers are well prepared and well equipped and well trained to meet all the needs of our residents, and not only when there is an emergency. They embody the true spirit of community policing and continue to be great ambassadors for our city. The task of keeping our community safe extends beyond our borders to the involvement of our emergency management director in the development of regional emergency and disaster response protocols. But it is not just our residents in the city limits that should recognize the value of our community. As part of our long-term planning, we have started to turn our eyes to the east, recognizing that 58 Highway is in need of repairs, and our partners in the Ray-Pec School District are looking to be part of the city soon. That is why we have been reaching out to our neighbors who live along 58 Highway to begin the conversation and hear their thoughts on future volunteer annexation and to be more aware of what the value is in becoming a Raymore resident. The City of Raymore strives to provide only the highest quality services to all of our residents. To do this, we must also plan for our community's future by developing a reasonable and responsible approach to the growth of our city. We know the 58 and 291 highway intersection is going to be an area of major change in the coming years. We do not want to repeat the mistakes of the past where our community gave up its ability to help share the growth around 58 Highway and Interstate 49. By annexing to the east, we can ensure our neighbors and partners within the Ray-Pec School District that they have a say in how that area grows. Our efforts in this region have been positive, and the response from many homeowners has been encouraging as we continue to communicate and move forward while avoiding the mistakes of the past. With the guidance of our city manager and his leadership team, I have the utmost confidence that the day-to-day operations of our city are being done by some of the finest professionals that have our community's interests clearly in their sights. Internally, staff just completed a year-long analysis and update to the City Human Resources Manual. Now, this may seem like a minor project that only concerns staff here at City Hall, but our staff remains one of the most valuable resources, and this much-needed update keeps our city competitive when it comes to recruiting new talent and holding on to those who have a huge impact on the lives of our residents each and every day. Even with innovative and exciting ideas coming from City Hall, at the top of our organizational chart sits our residents. That is why we will revisit the Reimagine Raymore community conversations we started in 2016 and invite the public back in October 2018 for a new round of discussions. Many of the projects I highlighted earlier will be completed or near completion by then, and this will give us an opportunity to follow up directly with our residents on the ideas they generated in the first series of community conversations. It certainly will help us develop even more for the next year and beyond. Our citizens are the ones I report to as your mayor, and it is your voice I want to continue to hear as we begin to chart the direction of Raymore for the new generation. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your indulgence there. And we have no personal appearances next, so we'll move on to staff reports. Mr. Feuerborn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Cataret to make a report for the Community Development Department.
Thank you, sir. I just one item this evening, give an update on actions of our Planning and Zoning Commission. At their last meeting on June 5th, the Commission completed its annual review of the Unified Development Code. It's an item that seems to come in front of Council a lot. We have, I think we're working on our 27th amendment this evening to the code. But it's something that we like to, again, do on an annual basis to make sure that we're keeping up with the times. We're making those changes to reflect changes in the development world as well. So in the future, you'll see additional, what I classify as some minor amendments to different parts of our code. You'll see that coming forward in the next couple of months. The next meeting of the Commission will be on Tuesday, June 19th. At this meeting, the Commission will complete a review of completed projects, just something we periodically do. What the Commission will look at is projects such as the Raymore Marketplace, and looking at it to see if, in fact, what the end result is of the building of the site is truly what they envisioned, when that project first was brought forward. And it helps them look at how the code is applied to property. So if there's things they like about it, those are things we can continue with the next project. If there's something about a project perhaps that didn't turn out the way they want, then maybe there's something we can look at for the next project, basically learn from our experiences as a group. So we'll bring that forward at our next meeting. Again, as we look forward to a lot of the projects that the mayor identified that are going to be coming forward, we want to make sure we have the highest quality development we can get within the community. So that's what's currently on their schedule. And that concludes staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Cataret. Any questions of Mr. Cataret? Thank you, sir. Mr. Feuerborn.
Thank you, Mr. Cataret. I would ask the city clerk to make a report.
Thank you. Chapter 215 of the Raymore City Code outlines provisions for the sale and discharge of fireworks. It's that time of the year again for us. 7 applications have been received for various locations throughout the city. They have been approved pending final inspection by the city staff and by South Metropolitan Fire Marshal. Those locations are outlined in your staff report provided in the council packet. Sale of fireworks begins June 28th through July 4th. The sale is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Discharge of fireworks is July 1st through the 3rd, 10 to 10. And on July 4th, the discharge is 10 a.m. through midnight on that day. That concludes my staff report. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeannie. Any questions? Mr. Ullman?
I did have one, Ms. Warner. When I was reading through the packet, I saw that one of the applicants has kind of a vending machine style. Is that new this year? Or
It
have we had
is
that
new
before?
this year. Early on, I was contacted by the provider, TNT Fireworks, and they partnered with Sam's Club to do this unique sale of fireworks in our location. It is, the vending machine is in the store. It contains blank fireworks packages. A person can go in and pull a pull tab for whatever package that they wish to purchase. They pay for it in the store, and they will go to an outside location, a container pod that meets requirements of the city and the fire district to then collect the sale of that packaged fireworks. So yes, it is new this year.
Thank you.
Ms. Dugwood, did you have a question?
I had the same question.
Oh.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. I would ask Mr. Icky to make a report for the Communications Department.
Thank you, sir. Wanted to give a quick update on our Summer Scene Arts and Music Festival, which was just on Saturday. Turned out, excuse me, turned out to be a great crowd out on Saturday night. Really was pleased to see so many people not only brave the heat, but came out right at about 4 o'clock when we started the event, and we had probably about 50 folks under the depot well after 10 o'clock after the band finished. So it was a great event, had a crowd the entire night. Wanted to just share a few numbers that we had taken from the event. So along with Summer Scene, which had the art vendors and the music, we also had our Relax in Raymore, the pop-up art project, where we invited community members to paint the Adirondack chairs. We had about 30 chairs that entered into the contest. Surprisingly, 12 of those were youth entries, so they were done by artists under 18. Also participated. One of the winners, the judge's choice, was a student artist as well at Ray-Pec, and so I was really excited to see that a youth artist was excited, and also we're going to have her back next year to paint the large Adirondack chair that we have that sits out at TB Hanna all summer. Had a little over 300 vote in the chair contest for the People's Choice. And then at one point, it's always difficult to tell how many people we actually have at the event, but as we were making the announcement for the winners of the chair contest, I had the opportunity of being able to stand right in front of the band, look out over the entire depot, and it was amazing to see the full depot packed with people. There were people also standing just outside the depot and even back at the back of the park. So we had a full park and a great event there on Saturday night. Really would not even be able to do this event without the support of the Arts Commission as well as the City Council. But unfortunately also, Melissa McGee, the communications specialist, she had a prior obligation tonight, so she won't be able to stop me as I start gushing about the work that she did on this event. She really, really made it happen. She was able to recruit the artists that were there that day. She found the band, the musicians, encouraged folks to sign up for the pop-up art contest. She brought a whole new level of creativity and energy to this event, and I think if you had the opportunity to stand in the middle of the park during the event, you really saw the fruits of the work that she brought to the table, and so could not have done it without her, and I'm really glad that she's on board and will hopefully be bringing an even bigger event in 2019. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions of Mike? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Fearborn?
Thank you, Mr. Icky. Just a reminder to the City Council that we have a work session next Monday, 7 o'clock. At this point in time, the primary item that will be before you at that work session will be a discussion. The Herald Estates folks have met all of the staff requirements with the council's policy, and they'll be coming to the council in work session format to solicit your support and make requests.
Okay.
That concludes staff reports this evening, sir.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Fearborn? Okay, thank you, sir. We have no committee reports, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Looks like there's 5 items on the consent agenda this evening. I would entertain a motion to dispose of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda to include item A, City Council minutes, May 14th, 2018. Item B, 2017 Silvertop Sanitary Sewer Project acceptance and final payment. Item C, 2017 Curb Projects acceptance and final payment. Item D, 2017 Sidewalks Projects acceptance and final payment. Item E, 2017 Sidewalk Gap Projects acceptance and final payment.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Hold on, I'm lost here. Okay. Okay, please have the second reading of Bill 3361 by title only.
The second reading of Bill 3361 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, vacating a 20-foot driveway easement being part of Lot 3 and Tract A of Windsor Commons, also being part of Lot A, replat of Tract 4 of Bush Industrial Park, all in the City of Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3361?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3361 Bush Industrial Park easement vacation.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3361. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3330 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3330 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending Section 405.020H, Section 420.050E, and Section 485.010 of the Unified Development Code of the Raymore City Code.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3330?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3330, 27th Amendment to the Unified Development Code.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3330. Any further discussion? Mr. Holman.
Just a comment. After we had the first reading on this, I forwarded an article to Mr. Carteret from a fairly well-known magazine within the industry. It might be of note to people of interest that the city of Los Angeles, which has a terrible time with both the homeless population and just finding housing in general for people out there. Housing is incredibly expensive and difficult to find. Is utilizing the accessory dwelling units concept to encourage, they're actually incentivizing that process and encouraging people to do that to create more housing, more affordable housing within the city of Los Angeles. So we're right on the cutting edge with one of the largest cities in the U.S., I guess is what I'm trying to say, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3363 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3363 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with HTK Architects for the City Hall front entry modification design project, City Project Number 18-264-301, in the amount of $23,929, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3363?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3363, award a contract, City Hall front entry modifications design.
I'll second that motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3363. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Could I please have the second reading of Bill 3362 by title only?
The second reading of Bill 3362 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving and authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement with Selective Site Development, Inc., a Kansas corporation, for the property located at 105 East Elm Street, Raymore, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3362?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3362, cellular site lease agreement.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the second reading of Bill 3362. Any further discussion? Ms. Abdel, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question, and I might have asked this last time. I apologize. I didn't write it down. What's the timeline for this project?
The site work will start fairly quickly. I do not know what the lead time is for the monopole, but we'll I can give you an update during my staff report
That'd be
at
great.
the next
Thank you.
meeting.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Bring us into new business now. Could I please have the reading of Resolution 18-30 by title only?
The reading of Resolution 18-30 by title only, a resolution of the City of Raymore, Missouri, approving the memorandum of understanding between the City of Raymore and the Festival in the Park, Inc. Committee for the 2018 Festival in the Park event.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Mustine to make staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Park Board and the Festival in the Park Committee to present a document that basically it outlines the way we cooperate for the Festival in the Park. This particular memorandum of understanding is for the 3-day event that's held each September. It outlines the partnership of services, materials, just use of the park, how we function together, in-kind services, all of those things that we cooperate together to make this a great event. The Park Board has reviewed this as well as the festival. In March, the Park Board approved this document with only changes to the dates. There are no changes outside of that from previous years. It was passed 5-0, and we do recommend that you approve this for this event. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Mustine? Thanks, Nate. I know you guys do a great job with the committee, and our guys do a great job in the park every year helping coordinate that, and we're really glad to hear that it's going to continue again. So thank you, sir. If there's no questions of Mr. Mustine, I'd go ahead and ask for a consideration for disposition of Resolution 1830.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 1830, Raymore Festival in the Park Memorandum of Understanding.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve Resolution 18-30. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. Can I please have a reading of Resolution 18-31?
The reading of Resolution 18-31 by title only, a resolution of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the Festival in the Park Committee to serve alcohol in the activity area of the event in Memorial Park during the 2018 festival event.
Thank you. Is there a staff report on this?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Mustine to make staff report on this item as well.
Thank you, sir. As the final component of preparing for this event in September, the Festival in the Park applies for the ability to sell alcohol in the park. We have an alcohol in the park policy. They have made that application. It's attached to your packet. It went before the Park Board and reviewed. It passed with the Park Board. The next step in that policy is that it goes before the City Council for approval. Once we get that approval, it moves on to the licensing and things that the city clerk takes care of for them. So the festival, the committee has requested that once again they be allowed to sell alcohol during the event. It'll be only for Friday and Saturday nights, not Thursdays. That's considered family night. It also outlines who can distribute or sell the beverages and where they can take them. And previous years, not the last couple of years, it's been kind of an open thing where they've outlined it, whereas history was they had a gated area. past couple years, it's really been outlined for the activity areas, so people can walk freely between where the vendor booths or the activity areas, and that's clearly outlined in the application as required. So the Park Board recommends that we approve this, and it's before you now. I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The question that I'd have, this allows sale of alcohol. Do we have a specific type of alcohol that will be allowed, or is it across the board and wide open?
This is beer.
This is beer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. Just for clarification, I think I know the answer to this, but I was on Parks Board, I believe, when we went from the enclosed area of consumption to allowing it throughout the park. And since then, and I can probably refer to the chief as well, we've not had really any problems with irresponsible behavior with this. It's been very well handled and just gone off with really no issues whatsoever. Is that a correct statement in the history of this?
Yes, sir. As far as the parks is concerned, and I don't want to speak for the chief, but I would agree that to this date, it's gone very smoothly.
It's been a great news story.
Been received well.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Berenson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nate, I'd also like to thank you and the Parks Board for, I guess, bringing up the alcohol. Not for my intent, not for me, but also to echo what Jay said. I think they've set the standard for the city that's allowed us to be comfortable with doing this at other events. I was at Summer Scene, and that also went off without a hitch. I don't think we had any issues there that I'm aware of. Please continue what you're doing. You're doing a great job with that, and it has a ripple effect with other events in the city, so thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Circo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, all I want to say is, again, this kind of relates back to how great our police department is, how great they're trained, how good and well they're trained. They understand our city, because a lot of times you see this in the news. A lot of these things happen all around, close by, and there's a lot of problems. But obviously, in the last few years, since we developed that open carry with the beer, and we've had no problems, that just speaks high volumes, not only for how you set up, but basically for the police chief and her staff, the police officers. They do just a tremendous job, and there's so much people walking around drinking beer, and on hot days, so much can happen. But in this city, it doesn't happen. Again, I thank you for that. I thank the police chief and her crew for how good they do.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I'd entertain a motion to dispose. This is a public hearing. I'm sorry. Should have opened that prior to that. So I will open a public hearing at this time, and again, we've already heard from staff and received the report. So I would open it for public comment at this time. If anyone would like to address the council at this time, I would entertain that. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and we'll move on. I'd request a motion to dispose of this item.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 1831, application for alcohol in parks permit Raymore Festival in the Park.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve Resolution 18-31. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the item? Motion carries 8-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3364 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3364 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, amending the zoning map from A Agricultural District to PO Professional Office District, part of Tract 1A, replat of Tracts 1 and 2 in Kirby Estates, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. I did prepare for a public hearing on this particular item, so I'll go ahead and open the public hearing at this time and ask for a staff report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Cataret to make the staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. If I may, Mr. Mayor, if I may call on the applicant, they have a brief presentation this evening that I'm going to broadcast to your computers and that provides staff report at the conclusion of her comments.
Thank you.
Do you have a, can I borrow that? Good evening, everyone. My name is Alyssa Carnes, and I'm the Vice President of Operations for Compass Health. Thank you to the members of the council, Mayor, for allowing me to come and speak with you tonight. We are very excited about this next step in our evolution in Cass County, Raymore specifically. If I prepared just some basic information to kind of give you an idea of not only our presence in Raymore, but our presence throughout the state of Missouri, just to give you an idea of the size and the service delivery that we encompass. So currently, within the state of Missouri, we're providing services in over 60 locations. We have approximately 2,500 employees, and 118 of those are employed within Cass County. Within Raymore, we currently have 85 employees here at our Remington location, and we also have some lease space over on Walnut because we've outgrown our Remington space. We also have an office in Harrisonville, and we have some contracted space over in Belton as well. The new facility, that we're proposing that we would like to bring to the city would accommodate approximately 170 employees. So that's a considerable jump from where we are here. It's a lot of new jobs coming into this city. And Mayor Turnbow, as you so eloquently pointed out in your opening, Raymore is growing. Raymore is growing by leaps and bounds. And we've had a hard time keeping up with that growth because people come to the city and they have needs. They have physical health needs, they have dental needs, they have mental health needs. And as we have been here through mergers over the years, we've maintained a presence within Cass County, within Raymore and Belton for almost 50 years now. So we have been a long-standing partner and provider within Cass County. We anticipate, as we have moved through our evolution in providing services to these communities here, we're extremely excited about the next step that we want to take forward. So if you're looking at, just to give you an idea of some of our recent buildings, to kind of give you a sense of the aesthetic, the building in Wentzville, that was built in 2010. And the building in Warrensburg in 2017. We've just completed over a year there. That's actually the office where I'm based out of. That office is about 15,000 square feet. Our Wentzville office is approximately 60,000 square feet there. So good size, good size. These two facilities, these are not our facilities. I just brought these photos just to kind of give you a sense of what our vision is within this community. We're anticipating that this facility, believe it or not, we're going to go from a 9,000 square foot facility to an approximately 60,000 square foot facility here. It will be a 3-story facility. We will more than double the amount of services that we're going to be able to provide here, and we're extremely excited about that. We have had to in the past few years, we've been happy and excited to open up our access. Basically, people can walk in off the street and receive services the day they walk in without having to schedule months in advance, which is, I think, been the norm, sadly, in our field. But this building will give us the capacity to welcome more folks in and be able to meet their needs. So if you look here, you will see these are the services that we propose and are providing, many of these services we're currently providing. Office and community-based, and I want to emphasize this. This is office and community-based. This is not anything residential. This is an office facility. Outpatient mental health services, substance use disorder services, psychiatric health and wellness, family medicine, primary care. That will be a new service delivery line for us. Dental, also new. Pharmacy for Compass Health patients only, also new. And our hours you can see there, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We try to provide a wide access for folks who are working or who are in school that can come after hours and get their needs met. And on Fridays, typically it's 8 to 5. So if you look at this was the preliminary elevation that was provided by our architect. This would just kind of give you a sense of what our conceptual idea is for the facility, for the property rather. We're looking at approximately 250 parking spots. We really want to emphasize the ability to accommodate everybody's needs. There is a pond located on the facility, I say facility, on the property. We want to make that a focal point, incorporate a wellness trail into that. We are having some initial discussions with some of your city staff about incorporating a wellness trail that would connect with Hawk Ridge Park. That would be exciting, I think. We've had a lot of positive feedback about that, so we're hoping to continue that discussion with the city. And basically, the building would curve and embrace the edge of the pond. Trying to think what else. It's super exciting. I mean, I'm spending most of my time on this facility right now, and I have this vision in my head about how beautiful and how wonderful this place is, and how people are going to come and they're going to feel comfortable, and it's a place they're going to want to come back to, and make sure that it's going to embrace all demographics. So no matter who you are, what level you are in the community, this would be a place where you would feel welcome and you would feel comfortable coming and getting your needs met. So that's all I have, and I'm open to questions.
Sure. Anyone? Ms. Dogwood.
I just have a quick question. First of all, thank you for looking at Raymore for this facility.
absolutely.
I think it's incredibly exciting. It's definitely a service we need in the area to be expanded. But I was wondering, are you looking at this as completely additional to what you're doing now? I know you said you have 2 locations in Raymore. I'm guessing this would replace those 2 locations. And then would this also consolidate other locations in Cass County? How would this fit with what you already have?
Good question. So we currently have an office on Remington Plaza. We built that construction approximately 6 years ago. We outgrew it about 2 weeks after we moved in. So this facility that we're proposing would replace that. And we've also had to, because we outgrew the space, we moved probably about 40 of our team members into some rental space, just to have some wiggle room in our current office. This facility would replace both of those. It would combine both of those into one, plus a lot more expansion to grow. Obviously, the lease space would go away, and our current space on Remington, we've not really made a decision what we want to do with that yet. It's still up in the air, still looking at options, whether we want to keep that or sell it. I'm not sure. So this would bring everything together under one roof.
Thank you. Mr. Barber?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. Thank you for coming tonight. Nice presentation. I heard your presentation for the Planning and Zoning Commission. You were just excited when you were in front of them. My question is, what's your long range on this? You're going from 85 with the ability to have 170 employees. What do you guys, from a business model, look at? How long do you think that will sustain what you're going to do? I mean, we're looking at a 5-10-year plan here.
That's a good question. You know, much as Mr. Carteret pointed out earlier about taking the opportunity to learn our previous experiences and learn from that and hopefully make some adjustments as we go, one of the things that was very important to us was to take a look at how the previous facility was developed and planned and maybe not do that. So in planning this facility, we have really looked at a 5-year plan. I do not anticipate that we're going to go in there with 170 employees on day one. We will certainly bring our existing staff over, and I think probably fairly immediately add on some additional staff, you know, obviously dental and primary care. That's going to be a new service line, so we'll add those on fairly quickly. With this particular facility, I've really tried hard to project and anticipate the growth patterns. What areas, what departments would we grow in? We have physicians. In Raymore, if I could explain, Raymore and Columbia, we have psychiatric hubs there, psychiatry hubs. And in those 2 facilities, what we do is we provide, so go back to our original map that we had, and you can see what a broad area of geography. So when you employ psychiatrists and you take a look at those psychiatry salaries, you want to get the most out of that. You want to be the most efficient with your funding on that. So what we have done, I think, impressively, not to toot our own horn, but really ahead of the curve on the market, we got ahead of telemedicine. And we employ psychiatrists to not only provide face-to-face services, but to provide telemedicine services. So you may have someone in Columbia who is incorporating our equipment and providing telemedicine to one of their patients who sits in Salem, Missouri. Or we have somebody in Raymore, and we will also have face-to-face psychiatrists here, but we also we'll have capacity for 20 psychiatrists in this office. So to answer your question, looking at a 5-year growth plan, I believe that psychiatry is an area where we're going to grow. We could grow. We will grow. Outpatient therapy, we will more than double our capacity for outpatient therapists. We'll have the capacity for 23 therapists. Psychology, we will have the capacity, we'll triple our capacity with this space for psychologists, psychology services, and testing services. So really trying to anticipate where that growth is going to occur. I think we're there. I mean, I think this is going to give us the space to do that.
Mrs. Belwa, did you have a follow-on? I saw your hand go up a second ago.
I did. I was just wondering if any of the other Cass County services would consolidate in the new building, or just the Raymore services?
Just the Raymore services. We will maintain a presence in Harrisonville. In fact, we're in the process of purchasing our existing facility in Harrisonville, and we'll do some renovation on that and updating on that facility, but we'll stay there. We have some what we call clubhouse services for some of our folks who are in the community, some of our clients who are in the community, and we have a contractual relationship with a church in Belton. We may look at relocating them once we get settled here. But yeah, we'll maintain our presence throughout Cass County and hopefully expand, hopefully go further. One thing I neglected to mention earlier in my presentation was that this project for us is budgeted at $12 million. So we're making a significant financial commitment, not only to the future of providing services, much needed services in this community and Cass County, because it's also going to pull in folks throughout the county into Raymore. But we believe our presence is needed here. This is the community that we choose to expand and take the next steps of evolution with our services. This will be a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge facility.
Anyone
I'm
else?
very excited to have all of you come for the open house.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything? Thank you very much.
Very
Appreciate
welcome. Thank you.
Are you taking comment from the public?
I will be. Anything else from staff?
Yes, sir. If I could briefly go through a couple of comments of the staff report. The Bill 3364 that is in front of you is a request to reclassify a little over 8 acres of land. It's actually to the northeast of the Price Chopper facility. The property is north of 58 Highway, east of Sunset Lane. Sunset Lane would need to be extended to the north to provide access to this property. They're actually looking to purchase not only the property being rezoned this evening, but also a portion of land that's already zoned professional office. So the property does extend further south than the request that's before you this evening for the reclassification. So it is a rezoning. We did advertise a public hearing for this evening. We want to enter into the record the notices that were sent to the adjoining property owners, the notice of publication in the Journal, the Unified Development Code, the application submitted by the applicant, growth management plan, the staff report, and then the applicant's conceptual plan that she illustrated in her presentation. The subject property itself, and the land to the south that's already zoned professional office, these zoning categories were created back in 1997. The commercial zoning at the actual corner of Sunset and Foxwood Drive, and the professional office zoning done in 97. This agricultural property, it's just a holding zone. Clearly this property is not set up for agricultural use, but it was just kept in that zoning category until future development could occur on the property itself. Since it is a rezoning, we did hold a good neighbor meeting. That was back on May the 2nd. We had 14 residents in attendance. A lot of good questions that I included within the staff report itself, and responses that were given either at that meeting, or for those that we weren't actually able to answer that evening, provided the additional responses as part of your report this evening. There was also, after the Good Neighbor meeting, of course, a public hearing held as part of the Planning Commission meeting on this application. I did include the minutes from that meeting for your consideration. Again, although Compass Health is the applicant looking at the property, what we're looking at this evening is what uses are allowed in professional office. So I've identified those in the staff report as well. And professional office allows medical, dental, behavioral health facilities, and other professional offices, attorneys, insurance brokers, et cetera. So that's typically the uses that you would see within that zoning category. It is not a retail sales district. Although they indicated that there is a pharmacy that is part of the facility itself, not open to the public, just open to the clients that serve the building. Again, the Planning Commission had the public hearing on May 15th. That evening, they voted 7-0 to accept proposed findings of fact, and have submitted the recommendation of approval to reclassify the zoning of this property from agricultural to professional office. That concludes staff report, sir.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. This may be better directed to Chief Zimmerman. When we talk about, first of all, in the Good Neighbor meeting, one of the questions was asked, would this bring additional crime? The answer was no. I would tend to agree with that. But police do typically get called frequently to mental health facility services for either voluntary or involuntary committals. And they take a considerable amount of a police officer's time, especially if they have to transfer that person to another facility. And that ties into the question that we typically ask on our checklist for planning and zoning on impact to city services. We typically think of, sewers, city streets, and that kind of thing. This one's a little bit unique. So, Chief, I guess my question to you is, do you feel like with the expansion of these services, the police department will be able to handle additional call load that might come out of that expansion without any issues?
Well, we've enjoyed such a great relationship with Pathways and all the staff there. Actually, it's very beneficial to us because those services allow us to work directly with staff to get people the services that they need. So the expansion with additional staff members there at Compass will be very beneficial to us, I believe.
No concerns. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions of staff or comments at this time? If not, there is a public hearing that is open. I would ask if there's members of the audience that would like to address the council on this particular topic to please step forward, give your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less.
Good evening. I'm Adam Campbell from 109 Silver Lake Circle in Raymore. And I have more of a question as far as the use of the office space, whether or not there's going to be any, I guess, residents, if you will. I heard the numbers about the staffs being imposed, but I'm looking more for how many residents will actively be staying there. And I guess that's probably more of a question for our guest.
I think our staff can probably answer that.
I can indicate that question did come up at the Good Neighbor meeting as well as the Planning Commission meeting. There will be no overnight stays at this facility. Again, the operating hours, I believe, were 8 to 8 with nobody staying on the property after that.
Right. Right. Thank you. Is that all you had, sir?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the council at this time on this particular topic? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time, and I would ask for a motion to dispose of Bill 3364.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3364, rezoning of Kirby Estates.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3364. Any further discussion? Mr. Holman.
Yeah, just something that we tend to forget when we get into this process. This actually is not, we've talked about the building and the end result, that kind of thing. First part of this process is rezoning. We're talking about moving from agriculture to professional office. The next item is going to get a little bit further into the weeds, and I think it's probably a logical move on the part of that, given where that piece of land is at, the surrounding character of the neighborhood, which is one of the items that we look for. Professional office or some type of commercial is a more reasonable designation for that land. I don't think we've actually had any crops on it or livestock for quite some time, have we, Mr. Carteret?
That's correct. I haven't seen any.
That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Circo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, my assumption is, I mean, Pathways is, to me, is a great organization. They did work with my brother-in-law and did a lot of good work with him. I'm wondering, is this when they grow here in North Cass here with Raymore, will we draw a lot of people from farther north, South Jackson County, down this way, or is this going to be based basically for this area where we're at when the people are here? Or how far will some of the patients or the people actually draw from the north?
If I could, we're kind of getting into, this is discussion items about the actual topic. We're not really getting into further questions here. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyone else have any discussion on this particular topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, motion carries 8-0. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3365 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3365 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri approving the second replat of Kirby Estates, a minor subdivision located in Section 9, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Carteret to make a staff report on this item as well.
Thank you, sir. So Bill 3365 is actually the request for final plat approval of the property. Again, Compass Health is looking at purchasing just a portion of the property owned by VOE. The property owner overall, that includes the attorney's office as well. So in order to get this split of property and sell it off, they need to actually create a plat for the property. Sunset Lane right-of-way is actually already platted. All this does is, in essence, establish a perimeter boundary around the property as well as any necessary easements for any infrastructure that may cross through the property. Again, the property being platted extends the area that you just looked to reclassify the zoning on, as well as part of the property already zoned professional office. The property line would extend from, in essence, from the service drive to the rear of the Price Chopper development all the way to the north to the northern property line is actually the Madison Valley subdivision. At its May 15th meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission, by a 5-0 with 3 abstention votes, voted to accept the proposed findings of fact and forward this request for final plat approval to the City Council with the recommendation of approval. That concludes staff report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? Hearing none. Is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3365?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3365, second replat of Kirby Estates.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3365. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. Okay, please have the first reading of Bill 3366 by title only.
The first reading of Bill 3366 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri approving the Sunrise Commons final plat, a replat of Lot A of the replat of Tract 4, Bush Industrial Park, located in Section 15, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a staff report, sir?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Carteret to make a staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. Bill 3366 proposes final plat approval of Sunrise Commons. This is a subdivision of a tract of land located on the south side of 58 Highway to the west of J Highway. This would actually be the tract of land that's proposed for the expansion of the Brightside Daycare. You approved an easement vacation earlier this evening. The reason for this replat is to establish not only the perimeter of the lot itself, but actually separate out the building location from the parking lot area and the other common areas of the property. It's set up very similar to how they have their current facility set up directly to the east. So we're looking at final plat approval this evening. The next step of the process would be site plan approval to our Planning Commission. Overall, this property is about 1.7 acres in size. The access to the property would actually be from the current access that you take off of 58 Highway to get to their current facility, as well as the Casey's store. So they will extend, if you would, that frontage road to the west to service this property. At its May 15th meeting, the Planning Commission voted 5-0 with 3 abstentions to accept the findings of fact and forward the Sunrise Commons final plat to the City Council with a recommendation of approval. They had one condition with the recommendation that was taken care of tonight with the approval of the vacation of the easement. So that easement is no longer part of the plat. So that concludes staff report.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? Thank you, sir. Hearing none, is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3366?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3366, Sunrise Commons final plat.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3366. Any further discussion? Ms. Abdel, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I just want to say thanks to this business owner for wanting to expand your business in Raymore. We talk a lot about bringing in new businesses, but we're always happy to see the current businesses we have expanding and growing. There's been lots of chatter in Ward 4 about what's happening over there. So this isn't anything that anyone can be unhappy about. So thanks again.
Anyone else? Hearing none, is there a motion? There already is a motion. Excuse me. All those in favor? Motion carries 8-0. Can I please have the first reading of Bill 3367 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3367 by title only. An ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri approving the final plat for Westbrook at Creekmore, 14th plat, lots 371 through 405, and tracks MM, N, O, P, and Q, located in Section 4, Township 46 North, Range 32 West, Raymore, Cass County, Missouri.
Thank you. Is there a staff report?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Cataret to make a staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. Bill 3367 proposes final plat approval of the 14th phase of the Westbrook at Creekmore subdivision. This phase of 35 single-family lots is proposed for the north side of 163rd Street, just to the east of the clubhouse and the clubhouse maintenance facility. So currently, they are extending 163rd Street further to the east to provide access for this development. The construction haul road, if you would, that connects Creekmore Drive to 163rd Street will continue to exist. This does not make a permanent road connection to the existing Westbrook phases to the north, but the construction road would be extended from the end of 163rd Street, again on a temporary basis until that final connection can be made to Creekmore Drive. The Planning and Zoning Commission, at its June 5th meeting, did vote 6-0 to accept the staff proposed findings of fact and forward the final plat for the Westbrook Creekmore 14th plat to the council with a recommendation of approval. The development agreement that outlines the conditions for development of the property is attached, and the project engineer, Mr. Warger, is here this evening if you have any questions. That concludes staff report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? Hearing none, is there a motion to dispose of Bill 3367?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3367, Westbrook at Creekmore, 14th final plat.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3367. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you. Could I please have the first reading of Bill 3369 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3369 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Grid Iron Construction for the permeable paver crosswalks project, city project number 18-295-201, in the amount of $168,445, and authorizing the city manager to approve change orders within established budget constraints.
Permeable paver crosswalks project. It's hard to say. Can you say it 3 times? Yeah. There's a challenge there. Hey, all right. So do we have a staff report?
Thank you, Your Honor. I would ask Mr. Krass to make a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Fearborn, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The fiscal year 2018 capital budget includes a project to install permeable paver crosswalks along 58 Highway from Darby at the intersections of Darby, moving easterly towards High Drive. This particular contract, we did delete the crosswalk on the north side of 58 Highway at Sunset Lane with the pending construction of the Compass Health facility. They are certainly designed for truck traffic. They're not designed for the amount of truck traffic that you will see with the construction. As you saw with Creekmore Drive, we wound up doing quite a bit of work there. So we will circle back after that construction is completed and install it at that time. Gridiron Construction has been doing quite a bit of work in town. They did the 2017 stormwater project that you just accepted this evening. They also did the culvert work on Silver Lake. We do look forward to working with them on this project and do recommend award of the contract. That concludes staff report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? Mr. Holman.
Just a question, in addition to the benefits that we receive from stormwater runoff from the permeable crosswalks, there's also a color contrast between that and the existing road surface, which actually gives a visual cue to both pedestrians and motorists that this is a crosswalk area. Am I correct?
That's correct. These will be very similar to the one that we installed 2 years ago at Huntsman.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question for staff. The map that was provided for anyone that happened to look at this online only shows 3 spots that are indicated on the map. Did we say there was originally 10 and then now there's 9 because the one's going to be done at another time? The map that I'm looking at on the screen only has 3 identified. I think it got truncated in the printing or something.
You're correct, sir. It got truncated in the printing. On page, not even a page number. It did get, but it did get truncated in the printing.
I just thought it would be good to list the streets for the people that are paying attention outside of this.
Mike, could you outline each of the streets, please?
Be happy to, sir. From west to east, Darby Drive, Mott Drive, Skyline, Sunset, Park, Woodson, Appaloosa, High, and Arabian.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else have any questions of staff? Thank you, Mike. If there's no questions, I would entertain a motion to dispose of Bill 3369.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve Bill 3369, award of contract, permeable paver crosswalks.
And I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3369. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Can I please have the first reading of Bill 3370 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3370 by title only. An agreement between the City of Raymore and the University of Kansas Public Management Center to provide strategic planning services.
Thank you. Is there a staff report, sir?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Icky to make a staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. In the winter of 2016, the University of Kansas Public Management Center partnered with the City Council and hosted 3 successful community conversation events. The information from these events helped build the foundation of the Council's strategic plan. As part of the overall planning process, the Mayor and City Council have also requested that we follow up with our residents and have another community conversation. Tonight, the contract in front of you is with the the KU Public Management Center to hold another one of those events on October 1st. Not only Laura Howard, the director of the KU Public Management Center, is here tonight. Along with the Public Management Center, we'll also have CoVision. If you'll remember from the event itself, CoVision was one that had all of the technology and the clickers that allowed our residents to vote on the ideas that were coming out of those individual table conversations. And so it'll be designed and set up much like those events, but we'll be talking about new ideas and being able to add to that strategic plan.
I'm excited about it. How about you?
I know I am.
I know Laura is. You can see a smile on her face. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Icky at this time? Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Hearing none, is there I would entertain a motion to dispose of Bill 3370.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3370, Award of Contract, Strategic Planning, Community Conversations Update.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3370, and I'm really excited that you guys, hopefully you'll get behind this, because it is as you know, there was an extremely successful round that occurred 2 years ago that my wife and I participated in and as residents, and it was, we have seen some wonderful things happen here in town because of the results of that. And I would ask if anybody else has anything to discuss. Yes, Mr. Kellogg.
I can only assume that we're going to plan this at Centerview. I mean, that's an easy one to figure out, you know. But I seriously, you know, I don't have to hope, because I just know that it'll be so successful. We're already outgrown Centerview, you know. At the space where we had our last ones, we all know that it was very similar in space, and fantastic turnout in that. So I expect even a bigger crowd this time here too, and it just show us, you know, what of things to come will give us an idea of, you know, how big to start thinking. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to speak in support of this. Some of the things that happened in the last times that we did this, we, as a city, discovered people that went on to be council members. We discovered people that went on to be on the Charter Commission. We discovered people with an interest to be on planning and zoning. And I hope we discover more people that have an interest to volunteer and participate in our government as we have it today. But it's definitely been good for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none, is there a motion to dispose of? Oops, I'm sorry, Mr. Fearborn.
It is going to be very successful. If the nice part about this time is we don't have to use the school. If we outgrow Centerview with the RSVPs, we'll have a rack in place.
And we do have a motion on the floor, do we not? We do. Okay. I was going backwards. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you all. Can I please have the first reading of Bill 3371 by title only?
The first reading of Bill 3371 by title only, an ordinance of the City of Raymore, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperation agreement and memorandum of understanding between the City Council and the Parks and Recreation Board.
Thank you. Is there a staff report, sir?
Thank you, sir. I would ask Mr. Mustine to make staff report on this item.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Park Board, I'm here tonight to present a memorandum of understanding between the Park Board and the City Council. I know you all are aware of this as we reviewed it together at our last joint work session. The Park Board has reviewed it and officially voted on the recommending a renewal of 2 years with no changes. You guys have seen that. And so tonight we're before you just officially presenting this new document, and it's really updated with the new logo and just some formatting changes with no changes since last you saw it.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? Thank you, Nate. There's nothing else. I would entertain a motion to dispose of Bill 3371.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Bill 3371, Memorandum of Understanding, City Council and Park Board.
I'll second the motion, sir.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the first reading of Bill 3371. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion carries 8-0. That concludes new business, and we'll move on to public comments. If anyone in the audience would like to address the council at this time, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. I see no one stepping forward, so we'll move on to mayor-council communication. Mr. Circle, I'll start with you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I say tonight looks like we're moving forward. We got a lot of great projects, a lot of great plans. Again, now I can speak, Pathways. So Pathways is a good program. I'm really looking forward to them growing here. I think it's a great plus when you have existing businesses that want to grow and expand within your community because they know how good your community is, and that's always a good idea. And we love to see that besides new business, like we've said before. But no, I'm pretty excited about all the things we've talked about tonight. The future looks very good, very sunny, and looks like growth is just on the horizon, and that's good for everybody. So I'm very happy for that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank the Arts Commission for the summer scene last weekend. Once again, it was a great success. And each person in my group purchased some art and some food. So I think that's if that's the way that happened in a lot of other people's experiences, that's another level of success for the people the vendors that came and wanted to be part of that. And hopefully they'll want to return and we can have even more in the future. And also I wanted to thank more importantly, I wanted to thank the staff that reportedly some of them had to change into clean, dry clothes maybe 3 times during the day. So I know how hard they were working, and it was very, very hot to start the day, and it turned out to be a real pleasant evening, and appreciate all the work that went into it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, thank you to you for your State of the City address. It's very eloquently spoken this evening and actually fitting with regard to some of your comments this evening regarding the growth of the city and the growth of business, having the 2 businesses here this evening presenting ideas and especially the investment they're looking to put in the city is very fitting for the comments that you made this evening. So that was outstanding, and it's welcoming to see. Also, with regard to our community conversation, having the options to have, if we need more room, we have the rack will be available to us for that purpose, which is another result of the conversation as well. So hopefully we'll get a lot of good ideas from our citizens, as well as it was said earlier. I am one of those individuals who went to as a resident, attended the community conversation and was so enamored by the whole process that I tossed my name in a hat to be an elected official, so I appreciate it. So hopefully we'll see the same outcome again for those who will be engaged and is willing to be engaged with the process and want to be a participant in any capacity, whether it be on a commission or they want to run for office. Again, it's not a high-paying job, okay, so don't come in thinking you're going to retire from this, but it's an excellent opportunity to participate in the community. So again, look forward to it. And also, I did have every intention to attend the summer scene, but I had some prior engagements that kind of ran long that evening. I did not get an opportunity, but it's excellent to hear the outstanding support that the Arts Commission and the Parks and Rec put on for that effort. So it's encouraging. Looking forward to our Hawk Ridge Park. Also, we outgrow, again, TV Hanna. We move that venue to Hawk Ridge Park in combination with the growth that we're having in our city. So, again, excellent to hear all the good news and the things that's going on in the city. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight's, I almost said menu, tonight's agenda is just packed full of proof of where we're going and the good shape that we're in and how exciting it is. I just can't say enough to staff, to all of my colleagues, not just the ones sitting up here tonight, but over the last 9 years of the good leadership that I've served with, that has brought companies like this that are comfortable with investing $12 million into our community. Yeah, I can't say enough to you. Thank you, for having that faith in us, that trust, and I almost want to say welcome to the city, but you've always been here. So again, I thank you for that. It's just proof to others that that will help us help us get our city where we know it can be and where we want it to be. You're right there with us, so thank you. You know, you go through here and you see the rezoning of the Kirby Estates, the Sunrise Commons, the Westbrook Creekmore, the 14th final plat. You know, it's just time after time after time. You know, it's just packed. You know, I bet a lot of other cities wish they could say the same thing. So, you know, I'm just very, very proud of our city and of all of us, all of our citizens, all of our neighbors, all of us up here, because we've had a direct hand in this, and this is just proof of it. I'd like to thank the Festival in the Park, you know, for their continued and again, what we're going to see as another success. You know, so that's going to happen. And I guess, you know, the one thing that sticks out on tonight's menu for me are the permeable paver crosswalks. You know, I remember a conversation I had with Jim Feuerborn probably three and a half years ago, talking about a median in the city. And he looked at me, he says, "Sir, can I think about that for a while?" He got back to me about 2.5, 3 months later and came up with a project. And out of that came, you know, the teardrops in the cul-de-sacs and the beautification of the medians and the city taking over the monument signs of the neighborhood associations that have been abandoned. All these things came about from it, and this extension of these sidewalks is also. So, you know, I'm not ringing my bell. It just feels good for me to, you know, nothing happens overnight, you know, and to see something like this, something that tangible and that concrete coming and happening to make the city that much more beautiful and that much more appealing for the next ones that want to move in. It just makes me feel proud, and I'm very, very happy to be a part of this. So that's all I got, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Berenson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to thank you for your State of the City address. Very encouraging. It's a great time to be a part of this city, not only a resident, but in any capacity. Great to hear about our growth that's happening. We're, I believe, over 21,000 now for population. Housing starts are up. Something else in here, annexation. I'm definitely a proponent of that, and I look forward to seeing how that works out. I want to thank the Arts Commission also for the summer scene. My family had a chance to attend that this weekend, and my kids had a blast. We had to drag them out of there. We were there well after dark, so we stayed a lot longer than we had anticipated, but we had a great time. Festival in the Park, look forward to that, and thank you again for your support. And lastly, want to thank our applicant tonight. 170 jobs, that's quite a bit. You know, when I think our last community conversation, that was one of the things that came out of that, is people wanted jobs and livable wage incomes, and we should see some of that coming out of this. So very encouraging. Thank you.
It really is. Ms. Abdel, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll continue with the accolades for Mike and Melissa and the Arts Commission on Summer Scene. This year was unique for me because we kind of got to see both sides of the event. My 13-year-old daughter had a booth with her art. It was amazing how Melissa and Mike and Miss Paris welcomed her to the event, checked in on her to kind of see how she was doing, encouraged her. Great communication before the event, so we knew what to expect and we knew what to bring along to make it a successful evening for her. But then from the other side, we got to, of course, experience the entertainment, the other vendors, the games, the food. So all around from both sides that we got to experience it, it was an excellent event, and I agree. I think it will continue to grow for both the audience and the participants. Quick reminder while I was thinking about the park over there, the farmers market started last week, so just a plug real quick for farmers market every Tuesday during the summertime. And then finally, as I said earlier in the meeting, we often focus on bringing in new development to the city and bringing in new companies, new businesses, and I'm just really excited to see the two current businesses that we saw tonight who really are reinvesting in Raymore, staying in Raymore and growing their businesses, and I think that's something to be just as proud of as bringing in some new businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to also just jump on the bandwagon and talk about Summer Scene a little bit. It was a success, and the thing that I really appreciated this year about it is there was some things that we changed that we didn't do last year that we did this year. I won't go into detail. Some of them were my ideas, I think, and they did it, and it turned out to be a success. And so I really appreciate them listening. And I want to thank the Art Commission and staff, and we had police officers there. I mean, there was a big presence from our city there, and it was a lot of hard work. Also want to thank our city manager, Jim Fairborn. He took us on, most of the council, on a field trip on Saturday, where we went to Kansas City Southern and got to look at one of their very proud rail cars that they have there. Mr. Doug Banks from Kansas City Southern showed us their facility, and it was very interesting, very enlightening. I also want to thank Mr. Holman. And if you know anything about Mr. Holman, he is a big picture guy, and he's a big dreamer, and he's looking at the future. And it was some good information. I don't know what's going to come from it, but it was some good information. I know we're going to glean something out of that trip and use it somehow, some way with the city. Mayor, I want to thank you for your State of the City address. And the point that I caught was the housing starts had double-digit increase just in a month. And so that was very impressive. I like that. And then I am really, really excited about our next community conversation. There's kind of a saying, show me a business that listens to its employees and executes, and I'll show you a successful business. And I think that's the same thing we can say about our city. Show us a city that listens to our citizens, and not only listens, but executes, and I'll show you a very livable and very successful city. And I think that's what we got here. So thank you.
I would agree. Mr. Holman.
Thank you, sir. I have two things. One, I would like to thank all the council members that were able to attend the tour that we took Saturday, and I would like to thank Mr. Fearborn for arranging that and going with us. I appreciate your time and investment. I realize Saturdays are a time to maximize time with family, so I'm taking a little bit of that away. But I think everyone enjoyed the tour, and we brought something home that may benefit our citizens in the long run. So again, my thanks to Mr. Fearborn and those that were able to make it on Saturday. And the final thing that I have, sir, is I thought your speech tonight was exceptional. I thought you hit on all cylinders. I got a strong feeling of exactly who Raymore is, even though I already knew throughout that, and you really did a good job of basically painting with the artist's brush who we are and where we are going in the future. Well done, sir. Thank you.
I appreciate that very much, Jay. And I would like to thank the council for their indulgence with me. As I said, we were supposed to have had it last month by the charter, and we weren't able to because our agendas were full last month, but we certainly moved forward and had a great agenda again tonight. It kind of dovetailed into what I had to say, and it was, I want to thank Mr. Icky for assisting me with that. I throw a lot of bullet points at him, and I say, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he kind of puts it into perspective for me, and we kind of co-write that thing together, and I really do appreciate having him to bounce it off of, as well as Mr. Fearborn. And I want to thank the Parks Department. Nate's sitting back there. He's looking all casual, but that guy works his buns off because he's a worker. And that whole group of folks within the Parks Department, the Parks Board, Mike's Icky's group with the Arts Commission, just a wonderful job. And you're right, Melissa McGee is a top-notch employee. We were very lucky to employ her, that's for sure, because she's brought a lot of things that have helped Mike even expand what we could possibly do to promote the city of Raymore. And again, thanks to staff, Mr. Fearborn, Chief, everybody out there, Mr. Cataract, Michael, thank you for everything. You guys are awesome to work with. And that's all I have tonight. Do you have something else, Mr. Holman?
Yes, sir. Just your point about Mr. Icky helping you write the speech, I would draw everyone's memory back to the commemorative speech I gave about Senator Glenn. Never malign a war hero, especially when he has a better speechwriter than you.
There you go. I like that. Mr. Fearborn, do we need to go into executive session?
No, sir.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd make a motion, we adjourn.
And I'll second the motion, sir.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? 8-0, we are adjourned. Thank you. Well done.